have two options, rational or irrational. Now the three different ways that we use to determine that is either if a number is terminating, if it's repeating, or it does not terminate or does not repeat. So our two answer options end up being rational versus irrational, and we'll see from that. And some of these you'll have to use your calculator for, others you will not. Okay. Now what all calculators do is they round the last digit. Okay, so say if you had 0.6 repeating, your calculator is going to show you 0.666666666, and then the very last digit is going to round to 7. But you still need to know that that's 0.6 repeating. Okay, so don't see that last digit as something different and think, oh well, it's not a repeating decimal. Okay, so it's going to round, if the next digit is 5 or more, it's going to round that last one. So know to recognize that. Okay. All right. So if we took 7 tenths, so if we took 7, this literally means 7 divided by 10. We would get 0.7. And what kind of decimal is this? Yes, and we talked about this last year. Therefore, if it is terminating, if it has a final digit, it is considered a rational number. Now, all rational numbers are real numbers, so we're just differentiating between rational versus irrational now. Okay, now if we take 2 divided by 9, you should recognize anything divided by 9 is that number repeating. Okay, so if you took it on your calculator and you typed in 2 and then divided by 9, you would get which we would write, yes, the quicker way to write it is like that. And if a number terminates, or if it repeats, it ends up being rational. Now, look at the little box out to the side. It says the square root of any whole number that is not a perfect square is what? Irrational. Okay? So any number that's not a perfect square, the square root of that is an irrational number. Is 5 a perfect square? No. So automatically, without even plugging this in on a calculator, you should know that it's going to be now, to see it on a calculator, now this computer calculator takes it out to more digits than your calculator on your desk does. But it doesn't terminate, right? And it doesn't repeat. So this one would be next. The further away from 0 we get, the smaller the number. So if we were to plot these on a number line, and this was 0, the closest one up here is this. And then it's this one. I'm sorry. Okay, 3. So then it would be this one, and then this one, and then this one. The further away from 0 we are, the smaller the number. Okay, so be careful on those negatives. Now the last example is just application. It's just using a formula. So basically, you have to, the formula that they give us is, it's got 3 pieces, right? And it's got an S, and it's got equals, and then the square root of 27 times L. So basically in the problem, they're either going to give us the value for S, or they're going to give us the value for L, and we're going to have to solve the equation. Okay, so if we read the problem, it says after an accident, and this actually does, this is true, a police officer finds that the length of a car's skid marks are 98 feet. Okay, so what they do is after any kind of accident, they will measure, they'll take a tape measure, and have you guys seen skid marks on the road? You know, when people hit their brakes really fast, it leaves a black line on the road from their skid marks. Okay, so they take a tape measure and they measure those. And they can use this formula to figure out how fast the car was going, right? Because why would that matter? Why would it matter how fast the car was going? If they were speeding, right? Okay, and that matters to insurance companies because if an accident was caused because somebody was going too fast, that makes a big deal with the insurance company. It's whose fault is it, right? Okay, so obviously the faster you're going, the longer it takes to stop. And there's questions like that that are on a driver's test, your driver's license test. You have to know, like, how far away to follow somebody, how long it would take you to stop, and in the different conditions, right? Wet road versus dry road, day and night, you know, your perception is kind of off. So this is definitely something that an accident investigator would do. They would measure the skid marks. Okay, so here's the formula, and they're saying that S is speed. Okay, so we can tell the speed of the car, how fast, how many miles an hour the car was going by taking the square root of 27 times the length of the skid marks. Okay, so after reading the problem, what information do they give us, and what are we trying to find?
We're trying to find the speed.
Are we trying to find S or L?
S.
Okay, we're trying to find S, and they give us L. They give us the length. So all we're going to do is we're going to plug in the number. Okay, so I'm going to plug in, instead of writing the square root of 27 times 98, I'm going to replace, or times L, I'm going to replace L with 98. shouldn't take you that long, especially with the calculator. Now, look at 14, 15, 16, and 17. It says to use a number line. You don't have to use a number line, okay? You can do